In this video, we'll go over some best practices for creating assessments with the Tests and Quizzes tool, including using question pools, adding parts, randomizing questions, utilizing auto-submit, and adding one question per page. Question pools are sets of questions created separately from an assessment. There are many benefits to using question pools, including the ability to randomly draw questions from a pool into an assessment, the ability to reuse questions in multiple assessments, and the ability to share questions with other instructors. Question pools are tied to your OWL account and carry over from course to course. Question pools are best created prior to creating an assessment and are valuable for reusing questions in multiple quizzes. To add a question pool, navigate to the Tests and Quizzes tool and click the Question Pools tab at the top of the screen. If you have already existing question pools, they will list on the screen. Click Add New Pool to begin creating a new question pool. You will be required to enter a pool name. Additionally, you will have the option to add a title, department or group, a description, pool objectives, and keywords. These extra bits of metadata are used when sharing question pools. Click Save when you're ready to progress. The empty question pool should now appear in your list of pools. To add questions to your pool, click the name of the pool you'd like to edit. Scroll down and click Add Questions to add a question to the pool. Select the question type you'd like to create, then click Save. The process for creating questions is the same process that you would use when creating an assessment. Click Save to finalize your question. Your question will now list in your question pool. To pull random questions from a question pool into an assessment, you must first add a blank part in an assessment. Parts allow you to create sections of an assessment, each with its own title, description, attachments, and questions. A newly created assessment comes with one default part already created. Click Edit to configure the default part. You can also add a new part by clicking Add Part at the top of the screen. Title your part, add any information, attachments. In the Type section, you have the option to draw randomly from a question pool. To do this, select Random Draw from Question Pool. Note, in order to pull random questions from a pool, the part must be blank. You cannot add them if there are already questions inside of the part. The page will refresh and two new sections will appear. The page will refresh and two new sections will appear: randomization and scoring. Under randomization, decide how many questions to draw from your question pool. For example, if you have 10 questions in your pool, you may want to draw 5 for students to answer in this part. In this example, each student would have a randomized set of 5 questions out of the 10 in that pool. Both the questions and the order of those questions would differ for each student, helping deter the potential for academic dishonesty. A student's questions are randomized each time an assessment is submitted, though it's best practice to allow only one submission attempt during an assessment, like an exam. This option also provides a new set of questions for each attempt. In the scoring section, decide the point value for each randomized question in this part. Click Save to finalize. Your part will now appear in your assessment creation screen. The final two best practices live in the assessment settings. To change the assessment settings, click the Settings link at the top of the assessment page. In the Availability and Submissions dropdown, be sure that Auto Submit is checked. This will ensure that if students face any internet connection issues and they have to leave OWL, their work will be automatically saved and submitted. This works best when each question is laid out on its own page. As each time a student progresses to another question, OWL will save their response, whether it's completed or not. The student can always go back and complete it later. This avoids any unsaved work in case of any technical hiccups. Navigate to the Layout and Appearance dropdown to set this option. In Navigation, be sure that Random Access to Questions from a Table of Content is selected, and in Question Layout, be sure each question is on a separate web page is also selected. As a final note, be sure that all your questions and settings are set the way you want before publishing. Should you need to make changes after publishing, you will have to retract and republish the assessment. We'll go over publishing your assessment in the next video.